right. Hey there, Brewcast fans. Welcome back to another Brewcast episode. No, not another Brewcast episode. Today, we're doing another best of compilation from this year, so year 2025. Today, you're going to watch the best moments, the top watched content from Brewcast this year. So before we start, I just would like to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to making all of this possible, because it doesn't matter how much I love having guests over, how much I love connecting with different people all around the world. None of this would be possible without you, my viewers, but Brewcast fan base. So, yeah, thank you so much. Whew. All right, let's start. See ya.
God, they're just afraid of judgment. They hold on to that viewpoint like a small child that has a favorite doll or a favorite blanket that holds it for comfort. They hold on, that atheist holds on to that view for comfort, because if they let it go, all of a sudden, wait a minute, now I have to be judged? No, they're going to hold on to it and probably die that way. A lot of them will, unfortunately, because they don't want to be judged.
But we all will.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if we, let's say, are judged negatively? Do we go to hell?
There is a negative place. I didn't see it when I was over there, okay, but I know it exists, because I'll feel the malevolent feelings when they come close, or just evil per se when I get near it. It's the complete opposite of the good, basically.
Yeah.
Or the absence of light.
It's like the yin yang, right? I was talking with a friend of mine today how everything in the universe is like, there's this duality. There's day and there's night. There's man and there's woman. I mean, everything's a spectrum.
Well, if you think of the yin and yang symbol,
yeah.
The yin and yang symbol, there's the black part and the white part, is there not? And it has to be in balance, and light and dark have to be in balance. So there's always going to be evil. Evil has to exist in order for good to exist.
Yeah.
You just have to, right now, you just have to choose which side you're going to follow.
Yeah. If you remember, like the Vietnam War, the whole hippie movement just came to be because of the Vietnam War. It was the balance, the perfect balance. Life always find a balance, like they balance each other out. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the war ended, like the whole hippie movement also kind of died out. It's like the duality of the universe. So if there's a heaven, there's probably some type of version of, which is the negative of heaven. Mm-hmm. Which kind of sucks to think about it, honestly. I don't want to go there. So that's what the judgment's all about. How certain, if you had to like give a percentage, how certain do you think that's actually the case? Because that's one of the fundamental questions, right? Where do we go when we die?
I'm 100% certain. 110% certain. I know we were being judged. I know we will go to one of those places when we die.
Okay, man. that's very interesting. How much do you think this influences your music? All your downloads and all your ideas that you get from those downloads and from those other realms, they're directly linked into your music. They influence your music.
I'd say 80% of all those are in my music. There are times when I have to make some tweaks to it, but I still keep the same message the same. Same thing with my poetry and the Sigma Squad graphic novel. The story comes from the other side.
Yeah, I see. Gosh, dude, it's amazing. You remind me of. Have you heard about Chico Xavier?
No, I don't think I've heard of him.
So I think he's, don't quote me on this, guys, but I think he's Brazilian. You know what? Let's double check, because I don't want to spread misinformation here. Chico Xavier. Let's see. Chico Xavier. Yeah, he's Brazilian. So the thing is, he became very famous in Brazil because he claimed he could talk to the other realm. And the way he would prove that, he would just get random people would come to him and they would ask him thinks about this, like the deceased or dead parent or dead brother, and they would ask questions, and he would close his eyes and he would write letters, and the content of those letters would reveal things that only the dead could know about. And he did that for many, many, many years, and he became famous, and he died with like renowned. It was a renowned person in Brazil, like Chico Xavier, the guy who could talk with the other side. It's amazing. So when you talk to those angels, would you say those are dead people?
No, no. These did not used to be formerly people. No, these are above that. They're messengers. Yeah. I have seen dead people before, especially after I woke back up, I was seeing it. And those were different. The feeling from them was different. Yeah.
Have you ever tried to talk with those beings while under the influence of any substance?
No.
No.
Well, okay. Let's look at it from this point of view. You understand the basic concept of a board game, like Monopoly or something like that. You understand there's rules to the game, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we've all played with people that tried to cheat. Maybe at cards or at the so they bent the rules a little bit. There are a lot of people out there. Now, I don't know about this gentleman. Okay, what his connections are, what he's done in the world. But there are people out there, there are psychics out there that think that they're doing good, but they're not. The people or the entities they're talking to are from the other side and trying to break the rules. Okay, so they're making them think that they're connected to God, but they aren't. Okay, and it's up to your discernment to figure that out. You're going to have to play by the rules, and going to a psychic is in a way cheating the system or bending the rules, and they want you to do that. Okay, instead of going by that inner knowing that you need to go by, on the inside, read the Bible. Okay, that's where God is. He's not in a church. He's not in four walls. He's inside of you, and your inner knowing. Okay, if the inner knowing guides you to this person, well, then maybe they are legitimate. But I would say don't seek them out on your own accord without guidance. Yeah. And question if these things start happening to you, whether or not it's malevolent or benevolent, really.
What's your religion, Peter?
I would say I was raised Roman Catholic, but when I saw the problems within the Roman Catholic or the Catholic Church itself, I stepped away from it.
So right now,
I would say I'm Christian.
You were a Christian, but right now,
I would say yes, I am a Christian. You are I'm a follower of Christ, of Jesus Christ. Yeah,
I see. Okay. Whew, man, I gotta be honest. Our conversation went in a completely different direction I was expecting, but it's very interesting, man. Like, you're a very interesting person. Like when I saw your profile, Peter Gunn. Like, first of all, that's a pretty cool name, Peter Gunn. Like, you do comics. You're a guitar player. You served in the Air Force. Like, this is like life goals of many people. That's amazing. And now, you received you revealed to us that you received these downloads from spirit beings from other, like, dude, there's a lot to unpack there. It's very interesting. So I'm sorry if I focus too much on the spiritual aspect, but it's extremely interesting. You must understand.
Okay.
You must understand that it's not common to everyone.
Yeah, I know. I'm well aware on the man out.
What's really surprised me is how open and calm you are talking about all of those things. I imagine, Peter. If I had those kind of powers, I would not. I would call them powers. Is that okay? Or how would you call them? I don't know. What's the?
No, that's fine.
So I would be a little bit more shy about it. But that's just because it's so different. So, but it's at the same time so interesting.
Well, I was shy about it. There was a time when I was a smaller child, when I was seeing things happen before they happened. So I would tell my mother, like, we had an old family.
Some of the rockets are landing on civilians. They're just like so into it. They're like, we need to get it done. We need to like outdone the US. They're just like not doing a good job.
And it's a funny thing because the culture's different, the rules are different. They're, we have in America kind of we want everything. We have so many regulations, and like Elon Musk was saying, he had to fill out a bunch of forms to make sure one of his rockets wouldn't land on a fish and kill it, or he's being ridiculous, but we do that to ourselves. China doesn't do that. Like if they decide, hey, we want to do this, the regulations are all negotiable for something like that, which works in certain circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, seems to work for them.
Yeah.
Good luck, I guess. But like they're trying to, in other words, like paraphrasing what I just said, like dominate the world. Like they're trying to get as big as they can. What's up with like Donald Trump saying that now they're gonna buy Greenland? Canada is part of the US. Like from an outsider, I just hear those things like, what's going on? Like, is he trying to take over the world as well?
So I'll give you my perspective on that, and it's probably wrong. But when Donald Trump's a negotiator, right? He likes to enter the argument, or before he even enters the negotiation, he sets conditions so that his demands are so high. Whatever compromise you get to at the end of the day seems pretty reasonable. So he'll go in and say Canada's going to be the 51st state. It's like, okay, well, how about we just do some trade negotiations, and then we back down to that, and it seems like he's given a lot. But if you go in and you say, no, we're not doing that, you haven't really given much. He came down from making you a state all the way to a few, financial or trade negotiations. So he's bombastic. He likes to say things like that. I think to call attention to ideas, and also to sort of set the table for the negotiations that will follow.
I think that's a very good assumption. Like before his first turn, he used to say, "We're gonna build a wall." Like he knows what he's doing. He's get attention towards himself, right?
Yeah.
So he can get a better deal afterwards. Because I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, like, how come he would just buy Greenland? Like, doesn't sound realistic, doesn't sound possible. And then, yeah, of course not. There's something more to it, He's trying to get something else. This is just to get some attention first, and much likely he just wants to get better terms with a deal later on, like you said. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Would you say that makes him a good leader, though?
It makes him a good negotiator. It takes more than that to be a good leader, which I couldn't gauge based on what I know about him. But yeah, that's not enough information to really draw that conclusion.
All right, Damon. I know that you know a lot about leadership and leadership incompetence, and I'd like to explore a little bit more about it. You wrote a book, right?
Yeah.
So the Leadership Incompetence Index: Root Causes, Red Flags, and Remedies for Learning Leaders. All right. So when did you start? When did you? Where the idea came from to write it?
Yeah. So I am passionate about leadership, so I read about it all the time. I think about it all the time. I study it. I look up, research journals to kind of figure out what is it like? How are people doing it? And then I kind of know
that leads you to hyperinflation, because at that point, like, you just have all this money, and I'm pretty sure like Germany went through something like this during the 20th century, right? Where they just had hyperinflation, and you end up having to buy like a loaf of bread with a wheelbarrow full of dollar bill, of currency. And so that doesn't work either, because again, like, the idea of money is we have to believe that it's backed by something. And so if the government is just like now printing money to everybody for nothing, then what is that backed by? What does money mean at that point? And I think society at that point it's just not going to work. So we have to look at alternatives.
So universal basic income is not a good one in your opinion?
No, it's not. I think there's a lot of drawbacks with it. I mentioned a couple, but there's others as well. But the biggest thing is, you as an individual in the UBI model have no ownership rights. You have no say in what happens to you as an individual. You are entirely dependent on somebody else that owns everything. And that's a model that,
I
yeah.
was just watching Alien today. In the universe of the Alien movies, it's like that. It's
Mhm.
like one corporation owns the moon, another corporation owns North and South America. Everything's run by corporations. I think every cyberpunk universe is a little bit dystopian. Like
Mhm.
it's a capitalistic dystopian future,
Right.
and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And that's where we're heading right now, right? It's because the writers who wrote those epic, stories, we see the writing on the wall. They're just able to, capture that in awesome ways that are fun to watch. But it's true. Like the direction we're heading right now is one of the biggest issues with capitalism is there's no limits into how much capital a single corporation can attain. And as an engineer, I can tell you, any system that doesn't have limits designed in the system, it's not a great system, because people are going to exploit. Anytime that you can get past, like find exploitations in the system, you're going to be able to use it. And that's what's happening today, right? It was interesting. I've been reading the novel Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. I'm not sure if you've ever read it, but it's one of like the hallmarks of arguments for laissez-faire capitalism, which is basically like no government involvement. Everybody should just be free to pursue like capital, make money as they best see fit. Because if they do so, that's going to benefit all of society, because you're going to have innovators, you're going to have people that just work harder than others, and they're going to produce more, and they're going to create things that will benefit the rest of society. That's kind of the argument. It's an amazing book. I'm not doing it justice, but like that's one of the arguments she makes is like we should not regulate people. They should be free to pursue things because some people just perform better than others. And I think back in the day when she wrote that was back in the 50s when it was published. That probably made a lot more sense. But we can see today, like, that's not necessarily true, right? Like the guys at the top, they're not making society better, but they're still like amassing more capital. And it's not helping like the rest of us. We're kind of, and so.
I mean, it depends on the person, if you ask me.
Sure.
Like if you
Sure.
look at Elon Musk, he's a very controversial public figure. But I think if you take a step back, that's my personal opinion, right?
Sure.
There's a net positive for humanity, especially when it comes to the space exploration front. So,
Sure.
and he's only able to do that because he has a freaking load of money. So
Yeah.
I would not generalize. I think there's
No, I wouldn't either. I think she has sound arguments to the fact that some people produce better than others. And when they're given the proper resources, that does make society better. But we definitely see the case where that's not true, right? We see like in the Middle East, like all the guys that are just raking in through oil, and they build fancy towers and they build like luxury, hotels and things like that. And like that's nice for the rich that can afford that stuff, but is that making it better for the rest of society? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. To teach their own. But there's definitely like better ways we could probably use those resources to have income generating vehicles that others can then, for example, infrastructure, that people can then like be able to build businesses and things like help the economy further that way. And so there's definitely ways in which that's not always true, that just because I have more money and like if I'm left unregulated, that it's going to be better for society. That's definitely not true, because whether it's obviously we deal with pollution, we're dealing with global warming. These are all the effects of unregulated capitalism, where hey, I'm generating capital, I'm producing goods and services, but what's the impact for the environment? What's the impact for society in 100 years? Right. Those are the kind of the things we got to consider. And there's no incentive for those individual corporations to change. There's no incentive other than to look good, like public facing, to say, hey, we have greenhouse credits, or like we're reducing greenhouse emissions, which again, they're just like, they're just passing the buck around to somebody else.
You know what I love when there's the Pride Month and they all just change their logos to the rainbow logo, and now that there's a new administration, so most of the companies don't do that anymore. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. It's all.
It's because now it's more popular, like it's more like socially acceptable, and they're just trying to ride that wave of like, look at us. And it's like, dude, where were you 10, 15 years ago when like people were like being, persecuted and ridiculed for that, obviously they weren't there because it wasn't popular at the time. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it's all just to save face. But coming back to your point, right? Okay, so if UBI is maybe not the best solution, can we imagine an alternative economic system to capitalism where our incentive as a society is community well-being? In addition to obviously providing for ourselves, we're going to have money. Okay. Like I always find it fascinating, like with Star Trek, when I don't know if you like ever watched the show, but they're just like, yeah, like we're done with money. Like we don't really use money. Everybody just works because they want to, kind of thing, right? Which is really like, it's cool. Like the idea is cool.
But that's a big difference between 600 billion. Namely, it's about 96, 97% difference, right? We, again, like I said in the beginning, it's not that China is not a threat. It's what kind of threat it is. A $600 billion threat and a $30 billion threat, it's a big difference. It's between a category 5 and maybe a category 2, right? So that's the second one. The third one is...
Can I stop you for a second?
Right. Of course.
Have you seen this news? It came out, I think, very recently, like October, yeah. China, Russia, let me share the screen for the audience. China and Russia are seducing US techies with attractive women for secrets. So basically, they're weaponizing sex. They're clever, my friend. they know what they're doing. Have you heard about that?
I haven't. And but this article is very interesting because it does highlight something I wrote here fundamentally, right? When I joined Intel, the CEO was then the legendary CEO, Andy Grove. And Andy Grove had a great line. He said, my most valuable asset comes into the office at 9 a.m. and walks out the door at 5 p.m. The most valuable IP today is not the stuff we already produce, it's the people. Because any technology that you use, I use, look at this iPhone, gets updated every 12 to 16 months, right? The people is the IP. And the truth is, how is America able to compete against China or anybody else? China is 5 times bigger than the US, right? How is the US able to compete? Is by attracting the world's best talents. This is why Elon Musk is not starting his company in South Africa, even though he's from South Africa, right? He's starting it in the US. This is why, Eric Yuan, CEO of Zoom, didn't start Zoom in China, he started in the US, right? US is able to compete against China and any other country by attracting the world's best talent, including from China. If you look at, I talked to somebody who did a study of the brain drain from China going into the US. There's over 1 million of the best and brightest Chinese students that have come to the US and never returned, right? This is our advantage. And I'll tell you why, when you get the assumptions wrong, it is so harmful, not to the other side, but to us. When the government started believing that it's a $600 billion issue, they very quickly started, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, they very quickly started thinking, well, it's got to be all the Chinese in America. So there was a program called the China Initiative under the Department of Justice that basically focused on Chinese American scientists. And during that process, thousands of scientists were ensnared in this, hundreds of cases. Now, here's the interesting thing. Having looked through all of the cases, there were 0 cases that had to do with economic espionage. Of the hundreds of cases that the Department of Justice raised, right, targeting 99% Chinese Americans, none were about economic espionage. All of them were about what they call wire fraud, because a Chinese American scientist, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, had worked with a Chinese university, but the salary they got, they did not report it on their income statements, etc. Yet, this is what happened, Brew. because of the China initiative, thousands.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. I've been to the US, what, like I think 2 or 3 times, and the food is like definitely one of the most memorable things. I love it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I have this goal in mind, just to rent like this minivan and cross the US for a whole month, just eating food and getting fat. One
Yeah,
day.
you should do that.
Man, let me ask you. So today it's first day of the new President Trump into office, right?
That's right.
Does this change a lot for the military?
Potentially. I mean, so yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk politics because I'm in the military. I'm really not allowed to talk too much about it. But what I will say is, there's the language that President Trump and his new cabinet picks are using probably indicates some pretty significant changes for the military soon. For example, there's Pete Hegseth has said that there's one of the many things he said, but there's too many 4-star generals. There's too many generals writ large. So they're looking at getting rid of quite a few generals here in the near future. So I know a few of them are nervous because they didn't really say, where are they that they're extra or superfluous. So there's quite a few that are wondering if they're getting ready to get chopped.
I can't imagine. It's just one guy gets in power and we might cut your job. You might be jobless. That must be scary. And I assume it has something to do with Dodge, like the thing from Elon Musk, because it's all about costs at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, kinda. It's not directly related to Doge, but it's the component of inefficiency and bloated bureaucracy. It's just, if the bureaucracies tend to always grow and never shrink. So eventually they're just going to be too big, and being too big makes you too inefficient. So somebody's got to come in and scale it back down and sort of reset the common sense meter.
So would you agree that needs to be done?
I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I was not expecting that, because I mean, we were in the military, so the more the better. But because the military in the US is the biggest military in the world, like how they like when it comes to everything, I would say there's.
It's not the biggest,
No?
but it's big. It's an interesting point because I've been so many places. I'll just answer your question, then I have a sort of another point, but scaling back in certain areas can make it more efficient. Or if you scale back in certain areas, for example, if you cut some 4-star generals, that's a significant chunk of money that goes to those guys. You can maybe add something on the bottom end. Or are we leveraging contracts for things like weapon systems the best? So there's room to clean it up, get rid of some of what some would call the military industrial complex, where it's just this big loop of, we're giving money to overpaying contractors for weapon systems and things like that. So it's probably a good chance to sort of have a reset, take a look at where all the, $900 billion that the Department of Defense gets. Just take another look at that and see, are we spending this money the correct way to get the best war fighters at the end of the day? And then my second point was, when you're in the U.S., you hear the U.S. is, the biggest, the best military, and you just sort of take it for granted. Yeah, that's what we say because we're all Americans. Fine. But then you go to other countries. Like I said, I was in the Baltics. I've been in Europe. And not that the militaries are different, but they're much smaller, right? So that plays a huge role in your combat efficacy, as far as how many systems you can employ on the battlefield, how many complementary systems you can employ at the same time, and over how vast an area. So things like that make a difference. And it wasn't until I was up in the Baltics, and their armies are tiny. Like the forces at Fort Cavazos in Texas are bigger, much bigger than the entire Estonian army, for example. not that there's anything wrong with Estonia. It's a small country. They have a small army. But you really get to see the differences between America's army and, small European countries' army. Again, not denigrating anyone. There is just a difference that you don't realize till you go see it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like it's just because of the size, as you said, right? The States is such a big
Yeah.
country. Like you have more manpower, basically.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Damon, I think there's no better person to ask but you. Like, what your opinion on the fact that so much money has been sent to Ukraine?
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
Really?
Let me just say it like this to be politically correct about it. It's a lot of money that probably could have gone to better use somewhere domestically for the U.S., but I can't really say because I don't know what the strategic
important time in their development that's moving them to make decisions and identify with different things that have nothing to do with who they actually are, and without any sort of grounded comprehension or rationality around the outcome of it. Not a good thing.
Gosh. And you know what? I think it can get worse because, especially when you're young, and especially with the fast-paced entertainment industry and entertainment consumption that we have nowadays, like this boy who like Venom now probably won't like Venom like in 3 months later, or 5 or 6 or maybe in a few weeks, because like especially when you're young, like the things that you like are changing all the time. Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. We did research on that last year. We ran surveys to see. Almost regretted it immediately. It was like within the first day to week.
Oh, Mark, are you there?
Yeah.
I think we lost connection
I'm still
for a
here, buddy.
second. I'm sorry. I think we lost connection, but we're back. Gosh.
Okay, cool.
So what would you say? Like, let's say you have a client who you kind of feel, or you can tell that they are doing a detrimental tattoo or something they will probably regret it later on. They're in this age gap. What do you say? What would you do? Like, would you intervene or comment?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'd give them some guidance. I'd give them some sound guidance. Yeah. Talk about the same things we're talking about now. And then ultimately it's their choice what they do. I'm only responsible for my choices. So I would give them everything that I have access to allow them to see what it is that they're doing and whether that's something that's going to be useful for them moving forward or not, what it might move them towards. And then my choice would be not to participate in that process with them. But then they can make their choice of like, well, this person's giving me sound guidance. So if I want to get tattooed, maybe I'll continue to engage with him, and he might help move me towards something that's going to actually be well fitted over time, or they might be in like the rebel archetype, or in some type of stage where they don't want to hear that shit from anyone. They want to do whatever the fuck they want, and then they're going to go get tattooed somewhere else.
Would you rather lose the client and do a tattoo that goes against what you believe in?
100%.
Gosh, I think that's a nice way of asking. Like a nice plug to ask. What do you think about black? How would you say again? Full black tattoos or blackout tattoos? When you cover your whole arm on
Blackout.
So my first question:
Yeah, I think
is this
great.
Is this a detrimental tattoo or like a positive one?
Depends.
It depends.
It's very nuanced.
Ooh.
Yeah, it depends. So it can be detrimental, or it can be positive. So the first thing to consider with a big blackout is whether it's covering old tattoos or not. A lot of the time it's the last resort, you know. Someone's covering up tattoos. Like, so, you know, this is a good example of what we're talking about. When we had our case study before, we said someone who's a biker sort of has a change in direction in their life. So like, let's say their arm's covered in all of these old tattoos from the past and they want to get rid of them. They might go like, well, there's nothing else I can do except get my whole arm colored in black. Okay. The other option is they could get laser. It'll never be the same, but it's another path, I suppose, to changing what's there. The thing that makes it either positive or negative is, again, their intention. It's how they approach it. So one person could say, I don't like these old tattoos. I don't like the way they represent me. I hate that version of myself. There could be a lot of resentment towards the old version of themselves, and they get their arm colored in black. That's not a good thing to do, because you're sort of running away. You're trying to hide something that you haven't processed. So you're not really getting rid of it. You're just putting something over the top of it and it's still there, right? The analogy I use is like you're wrapping this old version of yourself in plastic and burying it in the ground, okay? It's still there. You know that it's there in the backyard. You've got this body in the backyard that you're hiding. You're guilty, right? It's not going anywhere. You've just buried it deeper. The way that you can get a black tattoo done like that that's positive is you reflect on all of the tattoos. You acknowledge what's happened in a real respectful way. You got to have this reflection that is trying to balance who you are. So you need to see and sort of have resolve around the things that don't feel right. So why do I not feel good about those points in time and that version of myself? And there's an equation that needs to take place there, you know? So it's like the old charge and the new charge need to come together to sort of nullify something. Yeah. And if you're then covering that stuff, it's like burying that body, that old self in the backyard, but it's not wrapped in plastic. And so it's going to break down or, decompose and provide nutrients. So it's an energetic thing. Visually, it looks exactly the same. Energetically, those two different ways of getting tattooed will result in a very different feeling and different trajectory for the person getting tattooed. One person will feel like they're hiding something because they haven't processed it, and they'll still be holding the old memories and the old charge. They're just trying to pretend it never happened. And that's going to have a heaviness to it. They're still carrying something. And then another person's going to have reflected and sort of leveraged the past in a way that's going to allow them to be a more effective person. They're going to be on a path of bettering themselves as a result of it. There'll be no baggage there whatsoever.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like you act as a little bit as a psychologist, we could say, to anyone who's interested in doing a tattoo.
Yeah, tattoo psychology. It's definitely an area of interest.
What would you say? I think I can guess the answer by now, but you tell me. What would you say for someone who is looking for to do their first ever tattoo with you? Kenny, you touched on a very important point, right? Corruption. It seems to be a very corrupt place. If those illegal activities are happening and the police are turning their backs, like I can only imagine corruption is at play. If that's the case, how come, as you mentioned, a white American can just go there and talk those girls out of this lifestyle? Won't they catch at some point, like Kenny's problem, like he's not welcome here anymore? How come this is like you're being helpful for so long?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. It's one of the most oft asked questions too. is that people say, like, how do you do this? I mean,
Yeah.
well, you know what, Brew, I don't know what kind of a paradigm you come from, spiritual paradigm, but, you know, there are powers. There are powerful spirits in this world, and enter in God, Jesus. He's a powerful spirit. He is, in my opinion, you know, my paradigm. He is the Most High God, and so there's these battles going on, which we have all sorts of crazy stories of spiritual stuff. You know, I mean, just crazy spiritual things that people would listen and go like, "What? You know, that happened? Yeah, these things happen to us." So I'm almost at a loss for words, even though I've been doing this since 2012. You know, this part of it, you know, we got our first safe house in 2012, so 13 years almost. We have a protection from Almighty God, and I really want to break the stereotype of what a Christian is. I'm not a whatever your listener, watcher, viewer is thinking about Christian, it could be very, very wrong. I'm a follower of the person Jesus. I'm not a follower of a church. I'm not a follower of a system. I have a personal, a direct relationship with the Most High God, and we get this protection. And so all I can say is that, like, the teams that we bring teams from all over the world. We've had Germans, Frenchmen. We've had people from all over the world, Australia, Asia, and America. Most of our teams come from America. We bring these teams because Filipinos can't even get into these bars, as I mentioned before. So we need foreigners to come to be able to even get in these bars, to be able to tell these girls. And so we have this divine protection. It's just mind-boggling, actually. I marvel at it. I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years, and I'm still just like, what? We get in there. We've never had a gun pointed at us. We've never had a knife pulled out. In the middle of that, right? I've never even had someone look at me and take their fist and say, you know, blah, 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 and bang, and try. Never. So it's just amazing because we're in there taking these girls out, and these girls are the ones that provide them income. And so it's really crazy. And so one thing that we do, and I think this has really, really helped. And we don't do it for the following. We only do it simply because, and that is, we feed the girls. And the purpose we feed these girls is because everyone deserves to eat. That's just my paradigm. Everyone deserves to eat, no matter where you are, what you're doing. Every person deserves to eat a meal. And so we make these hot meals and we take them into the bars. We can't do 12,000 a day, although I would love to. I'd love to serve 12,000 meals a day, and we get to go into these bars. That's my goal, is to serve thousands of meals. And so we take these meals we deliver them into the bars, these hot meals, rice, meat or fish, vegetable. We put it in a box. We wrap it up with a rubber band. We put our card on there, wipe every tear, what we do, you know, how we can help them. And we give it to these girls. And the managers and owners see this, and they go like, they don't seem like religious people. They seem like just good people. And we're good people who love Jesus. And I know some people will say, well, that's religion. Well, whatever you want to call it. But you know, we all have walks with Jesus, and we've encountered him personally, and we've seen his power. I mean, Brew, we've seen girls be healed of HIV. And I'm not making up a story. I'm saying they test positive, HIV, once. Second time, they test positive. We pray for them, and we don't like, you know, shout and scream. We just pray for them in the name of Jesus, be healed, and boom. And we take them back to the doctor, and it's gone. It's gone. And so we've just seen this wonderful encountering God. And so we feed the girls, people like, and we also feed like the bouncers. and the waitresses, they're not bad people. They're all involved in this system, and they're all hungry. And so we even feed them. We don't have any enemies, and we just feed them, and we love them. And so we have not had any problems. We've not had any problems. In fact, we've walked in, and sometimes they get to know you, right? Now, I don't live in the Philippines, but I'm there about a little over a third of my life. So I travel back and forth. So they know me in the bars. They know our teams. And they'll say like, hey, welcome back. Literally.
Well, let me stop for a second, Kenny. So let me see if I got this straight. Those girls, they test positive for HIV, but through the power of prayer, they heal?
Yes, you heard me right. I know, it's amazing.
Wow.
HIV on and positive. Okay, let's test a second time. Positive. Okay, let's pray for them. Let's pray for them and believe in a powerful God. I mean, the God of the Bible, right? It's the God of the Bible.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
And they get healed. Now, not everybody gets healed. Although I don't know anybody with meaning we'll pray for people. For example, many come with drug dependency, alcoholism, and whatnot. It just leaves them. I mean, out of all the years we've been doing this, we only put one girl in therapy. She I don't know why not everybody gets healed, but they don't. And so we put her in counseling, therapy, and whatever to help her. She was really drug dependent on lots of stuff. So we prayed for her and we put her in therapy. So we're very practical.
I see. But you understand how for someone who is outside of the whole process, it's a little bit hard to believe in mirror.
Of course,
I do believe you, but it's hard. It's hard to.
It is
if
hard
you
to
don't
believe.
see it. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I get it, and I'm not saying this to raise money or whatever. I'm what you see is what you get. My wife always says, you're just so transparent. Your heart is just on your outside, and so what you're seeing here, what people are seeing is just me. I don't have nothing to hide or nothing to try to deceive or anything else. But we've just seen amazing miracles of girls being set free. It's really a good story. I love it.
That sounds amazing. So you go to the Philippines, you bring warm food, you and your organization and several other people who are helping you, and you bring food to the bouncers, to the girls. Let's see if I understand the process correctly. And you and how the conversation go with the girls? Do you write them notes or do you invite them to the safe houses like verbally? Do you take them there personally? How the process go of interacting with the girls and taking them to the safe houses?
Yeah, that's another good question. So how's it work, right?
Yeah.
So, when it first started, we had no idea. I mean, it was me and Becky.
Oh boy. Yeah, it happens, right?
So that was the only way I found out who the person was that was complaining, because like I said, unfortunately the person passed away and there was no one ever complained since, ever. So it was obviously just that one person.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
I know. What do you do?
Yeah, what it happens. All right, Rick. I don't know, like, so before we started playing the show, you're playing Blackbird by the Beatles. It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I'll be honest with you.
It was really good.
This request came in yesterday. Someone said, could you play Blackbird? I said, you know what? I'll fiddle around with it and I'll just put on my phone and send it over to tell me what you think. And I had never played Blackbird yesterday. I mean, it's a beautiful song. I just had never played it. And I sent it to the volunteer. And they said, and they put like a little heart on it. And so I said, okay, well then maybe I'll keep messing around with it and play it sometime. And then today, the volunteer said, well, I have 2 shows today. I said, I do. I have 2 shows. I need, what should I play? And the person said Blackbird. I said, are you sure? I only fiddled around with it. So I don't know. It must good. Apparently it's good enough for the volunteer, even though, like I said, I just learned it yesterday, just messing around.
It doesn't sound like. It sounded like you practiced your whole life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
But for the untrained ears, of course, right?
Well, that's the thing. That's the music. The whole idea of it is, even though I might not know it that well, I hopefully bring in my skills. My
Yeah.
the other skills I've learned, other things that I've learned. I bring that in, and then that covers up the fact that I barely know the song.
Really? Because when you say other skills, you mean piano skills?
Well, like the touch of the piano, so it sounds like you could never, like I was saying, you were listening, you couldn't tell that I had only played it for a couple of minutes yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So, but if somebody else like if somebody else sat there with it for a year, it might not sound as good as it does for me on a couple of minutes, because they maybe don't have the touch that I have. They don't have certain skill sets that I learned from conservatory and all that stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. You fill the gaps, basically. We can put it way.
Something like that, like, I don't know, if Tiger Woods just showed up in a golf course he never played before, right? I mean, you'd think, wow, how did you master this golf course? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's bringing all this experience from all the other golf courses he played on into that one,
Yeah, I saw a video from Elton John, I think this past week, where he was in the studio, and then they were saying, I don't know, like, now just freestyle a little bit, just write something on the spot, and he started playing, and everyone went nuts, like, what? And he kept going. It was like the most beautiful song ever. It sounded like an Elton song, but it was like a completely new, made on the spot song, and it was like we can release that. We can just sing over it, and like that's something that I don't understand. Like
I saw him do that on some kind of an interview a few years ago, and I don't know where that link is, and I want to watch it again. He did what you're describing. He just sat down and said, you watch, I'll just take any words. I'll take any words. I'll take the words of the newspaper and he just put them, to music. And I'm like, oh my God, it sounded so good. And I was like, wanted to go back and watch that again, just so I could see, get a closer look at how he pulls this off. And I can't find the link, but yeah, I've seen that once. Like I said, I saw what you saw, maybe not that video, but a different one time, and I can't find the link anymore. I would love to see it again. I mean, that's amazing, really.
No, he's amazing. I don't know how he pulls that off. Like I was talking with a buddy of mine at work the other day. He said, Bruno, it's not that hard. It's probably super hard because he doesn't he doesn't play guitar and everything. But he said, look, there's this chart, like it's like a color chart. You have like the wheel, and you have also the sound, the chords wheel, and you just jump between them, and you're good to go. That's how artists do it. It sounds complicated, but just memorize a certain patterns, and or it's like it still sounds too complicated for me. And like, if it was that easy, everyone would be a musician, everyone would be Elton John, but not everyone's Elton John, so it can't be that easy. Even on the guitar. Go ahead.
Well, he has a certain songwriting style, and a certain way to go from chord to chord to chord. And so, like I said, he can just bring a melody out of that chord or whatever. And that's why I do want to see that video again. I just can't get my hands on it. But I understand what your friend's talking about as well, because I kind of have to do the same thing. I kind of have to take, a basic outline of the song that I was able to find. And then I have to, it's funny because you could. Yeah, cool. You're gonna play it? You're gonna show it?
I'm gonna try to find it. Let's
Song on the spot, it looks like.
Song on the spot? Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what you got. You see, yeah, song on the spot. Cool.
Let's go.
That's gotta be I'm so psyched that you found that, because
now this is old. Exactly. And is that it's song on an album. It's so
we asked a couple, and also those for you.
Can Rick, can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Okay.
Of course, ever true. The drain. Boats on in them. But you might don't.
Mothers, dear mothers, our love flows for you like a river that course ever true. The banks
Ah.
Okay, so I'm so glad you found that. That's not the one I saw, but that's that's the same thing. He did a different one for somebody else. Like it's like a magic. It's like magic. I'm gonna do that for you with this because you could go Blackbird lead sheet. You could put the lead sheet up there, and then you could hear what I play, which is nothing that's on there. You wouldn't go on you go on Google. Put that in Google and then put Blackbird lead sheet under Google search, not YouTube.
Yeah, Blackbird
Lead sheet. Lead Blackbird and then lead LEA. Yes, Blackbird lead sheet. Now maybe that, let's see. Maybe this not the first one, maybe the first one. I don't know, try the first one. No, it comes the picture up there. Well, this one. No. Go back to that image. Try the first image. Let me see what that is. Could probably use that. Let me see click on it again. And then see if it opens up. It should open from there. No?
John Lennon? No.
Well, when you click on it again, when you click on virtual sheet music and then click there, that should open. Does it?
Oh, it opens, but let me show it. Yeah, there
Not
we go.
big enough? Yes. Okay. Now, see if you can get the whole thing on the screen. Well, anyway.
Like who are already in their teens, who are already in their 20s, like the kids right now, like will it eventually improve? Yes. But we're going to lose a lot of kids' minds in the process.
Yeah. All right, Padmini, I think we we went
to that got very serious. That got super serious.
I like it though. It's fun. It's fun. So, Padmini, we were talking about relationships, right? Yes. One of the things that you mentioned is sabotage. When you're in survival mode, one of the things that people tend to do is sabotage their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And my gut feeling tells me that they do that unconscious, like they don't know they're doing it. Would you agree with that? And if yes, how do you think they do it?
A lot of it's blame. So it's like if you blame somebody else for their behavior, for how they made you feel, for what you had to do, for the situation, if you blame the other person, you're not accountable. You're not taking responsibility. And so it's like, then you're like, well, it can't be sabotage because it's their fault. It's always their fault. Or it's like they were too emotional. They made things harder. Whatever the excuse is. But it's usually like, that's a good indication. Like, are you blaming someone else for something you're not taking? And, and what role do you play in all of this? Like, yes, some people behave outrageously individually, but a lot of situations have, two perspectives at a minimum, depending on like how they're interpreted. And I think, a lot of people deep down inside, everyone says they want love, but like, I think a lot of people are scared of it. And the thing is, like, to get into a real relationship, a real, like, solid, loving, like, compatible partnership, you have to show up. Like, it's also work. It's honesty. Like, you have to be a better person. You have to be mature. You have to be compassionate. You have to be patient. Like, a lot of people don't want to behave that way. They want to behave childishly. They want to behave immaturely. They, want their cake and eat it too. Like, they want all the privileges and all the benefits, and the sex and the fun and whatever, but they don't want the responsibility. They don't want the accountability. Then it's somebody else's problem. And, that the sabotage, like, I think, you should look at your own track record. And often, like, you're the common denominator, or often your choices are the common denominator, one or the other.
Whew. Yeah. And again, I think that's something that it takes a few trial and errors to start thinking about, right? I don't think it's in your first relationship ever that you sabotage, that you're gonna think, oh, I was the problem. No, you're just gonna blame the hell. That's what I imagine, right? You're gonna blame the hell out of your partner. You're gonna sabotage the hell out of it. It's like, yeah, this guy was an asshole. What? He didn't deserve me. And then you're gonna go to the next one, and you're gonna do the same, and then you're gonna do the same, and then again, I'm assuming here, after 5 relationships, I don't know, a couple of relationships, you're gonna see, wait a minute, why they kind of all ended the same way? I don't know well, am I the problem? And then you start questioning about it. Is that what you mean?
That's one side of it. Also, when I say, and that's if you are the problem, which I think a lot of people who really are the problem don't want to admit. I think there's also, the other side of in a podcast I did recently, I talked about one of the best lessons I actually ever learned was to stop lowering my standards. I think I had actually lowered my standards a lot to just sort of make something work because somebody wanted to make it work with me. And I didn't know. I was genuinely looking for love. So a lot of times I'm like, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. And it was like, I actually think by and large, I treated those men very, very well and probably stuck around much longer than I needed to have, just to make sure I left it all on the field. That I don't like feeling like I didn't do my best. I don't like guilt. It's not something I do not try to accumulate that, nor do I accumulate karma. And, but I had to acknowledge that my choice in men was flawed and that I hadn't done the work on myself to really be the partner to the type of man I really wanted to be with. You want to be with a high caliber person, you have to be a high caliber person. And that just doesn't mean how much money you make, internally, you have to be that person. You want someone truthful, you want someone with integrity, you have to be that person as well. You want someone hardworking, you have to be that person. You want someone healthy, you have to be that person. You want someone fit, you have to be that person. So it's you can't just make all these demands of somebody else, but not rise to the occasion. And, so there's a lot there. It can be sliced many different ways, but basically what you have to look for by and large is pattern recognition. And you'll figure it out, whether it's yes, are you the problem? Are you lowering your standards? Are you lying to yourself? Are you lonely? Are you desperate? Are you just running around from relationship to relationship because you're too scared of being with yourself?
Those are the patterns that you could look. Okay.
Yeah. Those are all you have to be, but that goes back again to the honesty. You don't have to tell anyone else, but you damn well need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah. And again, can you be honest with yourself if you're in survival mode? I don't think so. You're too busy doing other stuff, right?
No, not necessarily.
Not
I think
necessarily?
sometimes survival mode might actually strip you down. Sometimes when you're there, you get your priorities straight pretty quickly.
Really?
You realize, no. If you're in a tight place, a lot of people, if I'm in a tight place, maybe I'm a bit distracted, which is how I probably got there. But at a certain point in time, if you want to get out, you get clear.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
We went all over the place.
No. That's amazing. The thing is relationships are tricky. That's what I was going through my mind, right? There's so many variables. If it was there's the whole package. There's you with all your package, the baggage, and there's the other person, their whole baggage, and on top of that, that was what was rushing through my mind. On top of that, there's all the chemicals that go through your brains when you meet a new person that you fall in love, and you just don't see all the mistakes. You just fall in love. You just merge. You just, oh, you're the best person. Then and then 6 months, 8 months, 10 months from now, it's like, what the fuck I'm doing? Who are you?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
I have found myself in that position many times. Like, that is a familiar place.
Is it?
I have been that person. And I'm like, who are you? What are we doing here? I don't even like you. Like, we have nothing in common. Like, this went too far.
Would you have any recommendations for, well, people like me who tends to also do those kind of things?
Okay, so let me speak directly to men,
Okay.
if I can do that, because like there's so many different, some things you are universal, some things are not. And actually, I guess this applies to women as well. Go for the person who genuinely makes you happy, who makes you feel confident, who makes you feel comfortable in your own skin. I know especially for men, it must be very hard to keep, there are a lot of very, very pretty, distracting girls, very, very wearing very little and, vying for your attention. But like, that does not make for a partner. She could be awesome, but like, that might be all there is to her as well. And that's not a real partner. Like, people like lead with like the sexuality of it. And obviously it is biological. Like, obviously we're going to lead that way. But like, practically speaking, in real relationships, the time you spend having sex is fairly minor, particularly as relationships go on. There is a lot of downtime of like, you are sleeping next to this person, not with this person, next to this person. You are eating meals with them. You are in the car with them. You have to socialize with them. Like, hopefully, like, you want someone who actually like has a lot to contribute one way or the other. That, like, look for someone who's like gentle and kind and funny and intelligent, because it's like you will get into a lot of trouble just chasing pretty things that just want, they just want more likes, they want more attention, they always, want someone with more money. It's like, you do not want somebody who's materialistic, because you will just spend so much of your life trying to appease their insecurities, and that is not your job. Like, if you are serious about, like, I would, for men who like would like to get married, would like to, maybe have kids, like, that is a really, really different priority. That is the most important decision you'll ever make. Don't make that casually. Don't play with yourself that way. Don't take yourself more seriously. Be more serious about it, and be more serious about like the right person. Like, a lot of girls don't play that game either. And like, those women are winners, like, with or without you. So like, that's who you want to align yourself with. Like, that's who you want to build a future with.
But how? Let me see how I can ask that. The thing is, especially at the beginning, like I've been guilty of that. Like, when all this oxytocin and all those hormones, love hormones, are flooding your brain, you just think it's perfect. Of course, this person will never treat me badly. This person will always be trustworthy. This person, and it's so blinding. One of the recommendations that I have been given was, just wait, Bruno. Just why do you need to rush things? That's what someone told me. Like, okay, you fall in love, you like this girl, it seems everything's fine. Why do you need to be her boyfriend right away? No. Just, ride the wave for maybe 8 months, 9 months, and then, hey, by the way, it's kind of going smooth. I kind of like you. Let's. What do we think about going to the next level? Like, take things slow. That's what I heard. Would you agree? This is a good strategy.
Yeah, I don't. The nuances of when it's time to be boyfriend and girl. Like, I would never casually date somebody for 8 months not knowing that we were in a committed relationship, because I wouldn't, like, that is far too, like, I'm not giving anyone that kind of time and energy if I don't know where this is going.
How do you navigate that then?
No, that just comes down to being honest. Like, that's how like all these like goddamn situationships happen.
Mm.
It's because there's always an imbalance. There's always one person who's more interested than the other. And then there's always one person if you're in a situationship, that means that there are other people involved. That means the other person is shopping around. That means that you are being kept on the back burner. In which case, see your way out. Quietly.
Actor, you are a writer, you are a finance manager, you are a casting director, you're the soundtrack maker. There's like, you're like 20. I was playing 20 different roles for this project, and it's so stressful. It is so stressful. Oh my god, it's like there's times where I'm like, I love doing this, and the next day I'm like, why am I doing this? It gets so busy, but I love it so much.
Is that the goal, to continue being independent filmmaker, or no?
Well, the end goal is to make it into Hollywood and to have people see me. Like, I don't want to keep making independent films in Vermont. I really want to branch out and, be in those big budget level films. But in my independent journey, I want people to know that for aspiring filmmakers, that you don't need to have connections, you don't need to have money or to do all this stuff to get into the scene. I want people to know that if you just pick up your phone and you start, you're gonna make it. And I nothing was given to me. Like, none of my family members were in the film industry. This was all me. And I live in Vermont, I live in the smallest city in Vermont. There's no Hollywood star in here. This was all I did this all on my with my family, and that's just kind of the motivation you need to have. Is you need to realize it's you and yourself. Like, you have to do this. No one's gonna hire you for this. It's you have to prove that you belong in this industry. And yeah, this is Vermont. It's just this little country looking state, more trees than buildings, and more mountains too. And Vermont is not a place to live for film. Like, there's not a lot of. I think the most popular movie we have in Vermont is Beetlejuice.
Ooh,
the original Beetlejuice.
That's a good one, man. That's what I was
great.
about to say. Like, you're saying, oh, my town is small and there's nothing going on here. But dude, I can see like at least 90. I can recall at least 90 movies in my mind that takes place in a small town like that. Like all the horror movies, like Beetlejuice, like all of them. So it's a perfect place because
it is a perfect place.
Yeah,
It's just
go ahead.
The big budget films. They're just now in sets. Like, they build cities and they build like miniature things so that it's exactly how they want it to. And I think it just feels more alive to actually go to these places and film movies there. A lot of high budget films nowadays, they just create sets and they just stay in one spot and they don't actually go around.
But I'm gonna be honest. Have you seen Spider-Man: No Way Home?
Oh, I love No Way Home,
dude. I'm gonna be honest. I was completely fooled. This movie it was all filmed in a set. All of those exterior scenes, they were all in a set. I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? No, they were in New York. They were like outside. You can see people. No, you go to YouTube, you look at the breakdown. It's all CGI. They build like
the suits,
the suits, everything. Yeah. Like I remember they would even ask Peter, what's his name again? Tom Holland. Do the salto, and then he would do the salto. They would record it, and then you would see the after they apply the CGI. They just replace the whole thing with a CGI puppet. So what was the point of the salto in the first place? It was like, what?
Yeah, there's modern budget films, big budget films. It's just a lot of CGI, and there's not a lot of realness to it. And that's where independent filmmakers excel. Is you're not seeing $1 million sets and $1 million. You're seeing a person really in a town with a bunch of people. He probably looks pretty stupid with a little camera and a mic up here as a bunch of people are driving by going, what is he doing? And he's making something he's really passionate about. The Wanted was my passion project. It was my tribute to my brother, my thank you for all your hard work since you were 4. acting with me, and that movie, you watch it from beginning to end, you tell it's not a fictional, it's a fictional story, but the emotions are real. My acting is real. It's me saying thank you to Jackson, my brother, for everything you've done with me since I was 10 on this journey, and that we've made it here to the fact that we now can premiere our movies in movie theaters, and our names are getting out there, and we're getting there. And he's been acting since he was 4 years old, and he's never taken an acting class, but acting your whole life from 4 to now 13, you just get good at it. Like, that's all he did for his whole childhood, was just making movies with me, to the point where he was the best thing about The Wanted Part 1. His acting was so natural and so real that everyone walked down and was like, that kid is insane. And that was like so heartwarming for me, that my brother, like, he was like getting the most praise out of everything, was that he did that. Like, a 13-year-old kid, no acting classes, has never been in a play, was able to have that performance. It's like he's been doing it since he was 4. Like, he just has a natural ability to act now, and he is going to be one of the biggest actors if he chooses that path. I'm not going to force him to choose the path, but if he goes down that path when he graduates high school, he has a bright future ahead of him.
Hopefully he does. I know a lot
Yeah.
of child actors, they don't. For whatever
Yeah.
reasons, they saw the industry is not what they're expecting. They need to, I don't know, branch and see other things in life. Dude, like
Yeah.
your Luke Skywalker